the Madhouse UK podcast. I'm Steve Tierney. Good to talk to you all again. And as usual, sorry, it's been a little while since the last podcast. I should just record that as a kind of bit at the beginning that I just automatically say. But then, of course, then I'll probably start doing them too often and it won't make any sense. Anyway, first of all, thank you very much for the people who turned up for the chat room, which was very, very useful because there were some things we needed to thrash out. And it's fair to say that because of COVID and other things that are going on, the main plot has not moved on as fast as I'd intended at the beginning of this year. And also, Bill Mailing's been out of touch a little bit, and he's the player who controls the prince who's going to be the king as after the coronation. He's currently the ruler of Bernie, so that was quite important to get thrashed out. And I think some people have been getting a little bit frustrated that I'm not turning things around fast enough. And then, of course, on came COVID and made our turn deadline slow right down as well. And it's frustrating for all of us, so hopefully you'll bear with me. And thank you for your patience, as ever. But I think we've made some good moves forwards. And I've also managed to talk to people this week. I've spoke to Bill Mailing, who controls Prince Dickon, who's going to be the king. And I've also spoken to Thomas Crane, who controls Glaze, who's the wife of the Raven. So... and the Raven, of course, is the character that's taken control of Poldoon and made it an independent province within Bernie. You know all of this. So I had to speak to those people. I had to speak to Thomas because he wanted to know some stuff that he would know playing the wife of the Raven that other people wouldn't know. Because, of course, Raven's motivations, why he's doing what he's doing, what's going on behind the scenes, people can only guess some of that. There are clues out there, but people can only guess. Thomas hasn't been told it all. Thomas has been told what he could conceivably know given the character he's playing, and what he does with that is up to him. Hopefully he'll do whatever he does in character and not snitch out of character, and I've every faith that he will. Okay, so we had the chat room and there were a bunch of things I wanted to talk about in the chat room. We talked about all of them. Lots of players were there. Thank you for the people who turned up, and I've got printed notes here that I'm going to kind of go through, and we'll sort out what's gone on and what was discussed, and I'll sort of elaborate a little bit on it as we go. So first of all, I turned up to the chat room late. I stupidly made the mistake of going and having a quick nap. And I don't know about you guys, but if you have a kind of an early evening nap because you've had a long day, and you mean to put your head down for 20 minutes, how often does it stay at 20 minutes? And I kind of woke up at 20 past 10 going, oh no, rushed out and got a couple of people were a bit grumpy, but they all cheered up in fairly due course, and I don't blame them. Anyway, what have we got? So first of all, we want to talk about the coronation. So everybody's keen for the coronation to actually happen. It should have happened by now. There are obviously some questions about it because with a full-on invasion with the Red Knights going on around the kingdom, that made it quite difficult to arrange and to handle the security. Particularly as the royal forces were so stretched all over the place trying to fight different battles. Then there was a situation with the Raven in Poldoon that had to be monitored, and forces had to be at the ready just in case something escalated there. And then there was the real life situation going on that stopped things going forward. So we haven't done the coronation, but I said we will do the coronation by the end of this month. Now, maybe the first week in July, but I'll explain why when we get to that. Anyway, I had originally planned to do it at the Minicon. The idea was we have a get-together once a year in the UK here. Sometimes people come from all over the world, but players come and get together and we play board games and have a few beers and generally chill out. And we always do a role-playing event on the Saturday night with a dinner. And I thought this year it could be the coronation. I thought that would be a great thing to do, to make such a big event part of the Minicon. Unfortunately, COVID has made the Minicon impossible. Certainly now, maybe we'll postpone it till later in the year. Maybe we'll just skip a year. I don't know yet. But we can't, I think, do it in July. There's just, looking at the speed the government in the UK is relaxing things. Things are happening, but will we be allowed a full-on game convention for a weekend? I don't think so. And frankly, the politics here in the town are such that if I organised a thing like that, even if it was a grey area, there'd be a lot of criticism, and it's not worth the hassle, frankly. So we're not doing it. I thought about doing a kind of a virtual convention, but I don't really know how we'd keep people interested and do that successfully for days. Maybe we'll do an afternoon or something. We'll see. But anyway, we couldn't do the coronation at the Minicon. So then I talked with the players about what we could do, and Jeremy Baxter said back at the start of the game, in the early years, we did a few big events like weddings as email input, and people will kind of put their different bits in, and it will get put together as a story. And I did initially think about doing it as a chat room event, which we've also done in the past, but Bill Mailing's not a big fan of chat rooms. And then I thought we could do it as a Zoom meeting, and more on that later. But it's just complex, and I don't plan to spring anything on you this time at the coronation. I'll tell you now. There are things coming to be sprung on you, but the coronation isn't one of them. It's not. We ain't looking at George R. Martin's Red Wedding or anything. So nothing's going to. So I think we'll do it as an off-scene event. So what we'll do is we'll see who. We'll ask the king who's being invited and the Royal Council, which we'll talk about in a minute. Who's invited? We'll draw up a guest list, and then anyone on that guest list will be able to add something written. And then I'll take the whole lot, compile it into a big document, make a podcast about it, and publish it on all our various forums and places that we discuss things. So I thought that would be a good way to handle it. And that will all take place either by the end of this month or the first month of July, depending on how the turns run. Because at the moment we've got a turn due this weekend, which I'm desperately going to try and run reasonably timely, but there are issues, as you know. And then a couple of weeks later, or 2.5 weeks later maybe, there'll be another turn. And that takes us up to, so it all depends on how they run, that takes us up to the end of June and into the first week of July. I basically want 2 more turns to run before I do it. And I've got reasons why I want that. But 2 more turns to run, and then we'll do the coronation. So not after this turn, not after the next turn, but then straight away. That gives us a bit of time to organise it all as well, of course. So I spoke to Bill about all the things we've discussed. Bill was absolutely on board with it, and I want to make it clear to everyone, Bill controls the king. Anything that's decided without Bill's input, the king can overrule if he wants to. That's the nature of the game. That's the nature of the law in Barony. The king has the final say. He can literally overrule anything. But there are consequences if he overrules the written law or what his advisors decide or the will of the people. There are consequences, but the ultimate power for everything lies with the king. The king can rule anything that he wants to. So just looking through, what did I say? So then I said what I'd like, given that Bill can't make the chat rooms and has things going on in his personal life at the moment that means he can't give as much time as he usually does. Hopefully that will change, but at the minute that's the situation, and we certainly can't blame him for that. It happens to all of us. The thing to do, I think, is to give him some support. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a Royal Council of Advisors. Now this doesn't represent any special sort of rank. So because you're on the council doesn't mean you outrank a duke or anything like that. It will be 7 people who the king trusts to give him advice on key matters the king decides. That's the in-character reason. The king can overrule it, anything they say. The out-of-character reason is it lets us move things forwards if Bill can't always be there. So the council can decide, I'll let Bill know what they decided, and if I don't hear otherwise from him, that's what's decided. So it lets us keep moving things forward. So who can these 7 people be? Well, they can be any 7 people. They'd have to have some sort of rank or notoriety that sets them apart in character. And it will be for the king to decide how he wants to decide who his 7 kind of people are. And if he wanted to make them all the dukes, that'd be fine. If he wanted to make them a mixture of traders, and if he wanted to introduce commoners, all of that is up to him. But he will decide who the 7 council are and what the criteria needs to be. Thinking of other kind of fantasy settings, I think they would probably be best if they were significant characters. But they wouldn't all have to be, and in the end, that's up to Bill and you guys to decide, because I'm going to ask you to pitch on it too. And on the Facebook group, I've already asked people to put characters forward who they think should be on it. And if you check out the Facebook group, you'll see lots of characters being added there. Now, this is a reason to get on that Facebook group if you aren't already, because you need to let me know. Now, you can email it to me. You can put it on the Yahoo group if you want to, but if you put it on the Facebook group, it's definitely going to get seen. The trouble is, I get hundreds, thousands of emails, and if I miss it or forget to tell people about it, you're going to miss your chance. The best chance you've got is to put your character, or someone else's character that you think would be good. The best chance is for you to put them in front of the other players. So get on that Facebook group and put your suggestions forward. Okay, so we will then decide over the next couple of weeks again who the 7 characters will be. We might decide more than 7, but we'll send the whole list to Bill. We'll rule out some basically, and anyone who isn't ruled out will be sent to Bill. Bill will then get to veto anyone he thinks definitely shouldn't be on the council. That's up to the king. And then if he hasn't got that down to 7, it will be up to you guys to choose the final 7, again on Facebook. But I expect Bill will get it down to 7 because he's quite decisive. I think I sent him the list and he'll get it down to 7. A couple of out-character rules. Every one of those 7 I'd like controlled by a different player. I don't want one player controlling 3 of them or anything like that. They all have to at least appear to be Crown Loyal, and we had a bit of a chat about this in the chat group actually. What did we say? I think it was Thomas who was saying, do they have to be Crown Loyal? And someone else said, I've got my notes but I can't even find it. It's typical, isn't it? Someone else was like, they just have to appear to be. You know, as long as they seem to be Crown Loyal. What they really are, well, who knows? That time will tell. But they've got to be convincing enough that the king chooses them, haven't they? Because in the end, Bill will decide. It's just like any King's Council in any fantasy setting, I think. So once we've got them all in place, my plan is, and this again is important for people who think their character can do it, is once a month-ish, in real time, we will have a High Council meeting, and we'll do it on Zoom, like a meeting that you do on Zoom, like a business meeting or a council meeting. But and I will encourage people to put on a little bit of fancy dress. They don't have to get dressed up a lot, but a funny hat or something like that, it's fine, you know, whatever. But you'll come in character. I'll be there too, out of character, just as a black square, if you like, to offer information that you need to know. You'll go through an agenda that I'll have given you, deciding on the business of the kingdom for the council. All of your decisions will then go to Bill to veto if he wants, but if he's happy with the decisions, they'll go forwards. And then I'll publish the whole thing on this website, on my YouTube channel, so that as well as my podcast, you'll also have these monthly meetings of the High Council to have a look at and see what's decided and see what they say, which I think will add something to the game and be fun. But I stress, I'm not giving these 7 people power over your characters. If you're in the game, they aren't going to be able to decide to do anything to you specifically. They're not going to be able to decide to, you know, take away your items or move you or anything like that. It's not going to affect your in-game play. It's just for the grand plot. It's just to add flavour to the game. I think it's got the chance to be quite good fun and add a lot to the game and help move the plot forwards, which I think we do definitely need. So that's kind of where we're going. So a few people made some comments. Wayne Gilroy said it was important for the king to have veto rights, and I agree with that. So the king will have veto rights on anything the council decide. Jeremy Baxter suggested that we should keep the numbers low. I said 7, and that we should change regularly. Well, my feeling is every 6 months real time, 2 will come out and 2 new ones will be chosen, and we'll do that through the same process as the original one. Suggestions on Facebook and Bill mailing or whoever the ruler is, given how long it could be and what might change, getting to veto. So I thought that was quite good. I think it's quite a good system that we're putting together here. Nothing I think that will unbalance or change the game too much, but will help that grand plot to move forwards, which I think everybody's in favour of. Right, everything that was said in this meeting is all out of character. So nothing can be used in game. You can't say, oh, so and so said this and use it in game, because none of this was in character. This was all to thrash out some details. But once we have those meetings, once those Zoom meetings of the council happen, they will be in character. So then you will be able to use what is said in your in-game roleplay. Excuse me lifting my glasses, but my vision is such that I can see things close up, but I need glasses for long vision. So I need glasses to look at the screen because everything's blurred otherwise. But here, because I've got my glasses on, the writing is blurred. So I have to lift them up and use my normal eyes. I need varifocals, but who wants to feel that old? Oh, right. So please do remember to get your name on the list if you're interested. And that's going on Facebook right now, and we'll move that forwards very quickly. And we'll decide after this turn is run this weekend, beginning of next week. Okay, so then I moved on to the Red Knights. And the situation of the Red Knights, as you know, is they're an unknown invading force that have been causing trouble all over the kingdom. There were some actual incursions in areas from their bases and in cities. And then also there were rebels that attacked that I think everyone was suspicious were involved with the Red Knights. I think pretty much everyone now knows that it was all one thing being coordinated, because Red Knights have been seen with the rebels, and it became pretty clear that what everyone guessed in the first place was true and that it was all linked. Something was going on, but I don't think anyone yet knows what the Red Knights are, what the motivations are, what they're attacking, what they hope to achieve. I think people are guessing. There are clues out there. There are things going on, and some people have guessed some things, and some people have guessed other things. And I'm not going to confirm or deny any of it. But I think there's enough out there to begin to get some sort of a picture, and it will become clearer quite quickly now, I think, once we move the plot forwards with the new council and the other ideas. But I guess what I was saying to players is I wanted the players to think about is what this has costed the kingdom, because the Red Knights haven't gone. Right? They've been pretty much everywhere they attacked, they've been beaten back. So they don't control any cities. Their bases are besieged by adventurers and forces at the moment. Some places they're doing better than others, but nowhere I think you could say they're winning. But they don't seem to have lost their morale. They're not. They don't seem beaten, and people are increasingly saying, "Is this some sort of distraction?" And some people have suggested. I think somebody suggested on the chat room that it was. Thomas Crane said something is obviously going on behind the scenes. The fact they're able to knock out royalty members, the fact they seem to have information, that is all worrying. Jeremy Baxter was asking about the threats of Keir and the Raven and whether he could be related to what's going on. Gunnar was asking about the Southern Gunnar being an in-game character, because some people use their real name, some people use their character name, and I will use the one they use because perhaps they don't want me to use their real name, but if they do, I'll use that. So at the minute, I'll say Gunnar. Most players know who Gunnar is anyway. Said, what about the Southern Glaciers? And we'll get to what the Raven said at the moment in a minute. The gist is, people have got ideas what they're doing, what's going on, but they don't know. And it's cost the Crown a huge amount. All of the Barony forces have been have been deployed. All the reserves have been called up. We've also been paying people to... each town has its own sort of local sheriff and local, with his posse, as it were, who aren't part of the royal forces, but just kind of keep law in the village. And all of those have had to draw in extra people, and various different forces have been drawn up to defend the kingdom. And lots of adventurers too. And the cost is astronomical. The cost is millions and millions and millions of gold pieces. And the Crown is stretched pretty thin trying to run the forces, because their attacks are so disparate. They're all over the place. Now, this isn't crippling the Crown at the moment. It's managing. But I wanted people to understand how stretched thin the Crown was. And that is, I think, when we move on to the Raven now, which is, what are you going to do about the Raven? Because the Raven has declared Poldoon its own state, and now he's basically got the top lawyers, the best lawyers in Barony, to come and work, by paying them a lot of money, to come and work in Poldoon. And he's those lawyers have drafted a very long legal report, which I won't tell you the whole of it, because I don't know, because I'm not a Baronian lawyer, but understand it's hundreds of pages that boils down to enough time has passed now that this can't be questioned. This is his own estate now. And then asks if the state of Poldoon could open trade, commerce and diplomacy channels with Barony and with the other surrounding kingdoms. And he named Keir and Derwent and the Frontier, but didn't name the Glaciers, which is what Gunnar was asking about, why the Glaciers are not included. And the reason is because technically in Baronian law the Glaciers are considered to be part of Barony. Now the barbarians, the Glacier barbarians, don't feel that way, and the Crown do feel that way. But an uneasy truce has existed for many years now. The gist is, it's part of Barony, but you don't go on about it because the Southern Glaciers don't like it. That's the gist of it. I don't think that's going to be tested. There doesn't seem to be a great deal of friction between the Glaciers and Barony. There's enough else going on, but who knows? So that's where the Raven is, and one of the council's first jobs in coordination with the king is going to be, do you now take action? Because you're almost past the time of being out. I mean, you could at any time take action, but you've got to sort of carry the kingdom with you. And if enough time passes that it now is accepted that this is the new normal, then if you then declare war, you don't look like the good guy. And that might not matter to the king, but I suspect it probably does. The Crown of Barony usually tries to be the good guy in situations, has done for many, many years. So, I guess we'll see. But I think you're running out of time. And I can see a mixture of players. Some players are foaming at the bit and want to get out there and take Poldoon back, and other players are like, you know, right, let him go. It's fine. He's not declaring war on us. You know, what's the problem? So you're going to have to decide what you do. And I wanted people to understand how stretched thin the forces are with the Red Knights, conveniently. So trying to take back Poldoon would be challenging. And it's not one of those ones where you can just send in the adventurers, because the Raven has adventurers, you know, and the Raven has a lot of resources, and it would be a bloodbath. I don't know, probably on both sides, but there'd be nobody feeling good about it at the end, I don't think. So anyway, look, what happens is up to you guys. So if you want to start a civil war in Barony, well, I really think that's for you guys to decide. But think about all the options. Try and understand people's motivations. I don't know what you want to do. The new council will help guide people on this. And what I quite like about these new council is, of course, if they're all different people, then they'll all be talking to more people, and within their guilds they're involved with and the groups and circles they move in. I'm going to try not to make it all the same group of people. So, I mean, the player base is limited, obviously, so you're all the same group of people in a way. But what I mean is, if 3 or 4 people are in one guild and 3 or 4 people are in another guild, I won't use just this guild, unless this one is really anti-crown. So I'll try and make it so that you get a bunch of views, and then everyone can feed into them, and hopefully the roleplay will become really exciting. So moving on. So we've covered all of those things. Right. Oh yeah. So then we got into talking about the turn deadlines, and some people said, you know, when are the turns going back to normal? And I pointed out, really, the only thing that's stopping the turns going back to normal is the Madhouse USA postal players, because those guys are really struggling to get their post on time because of the whole COVID situation. And in it, I could just run the turns without half of them. But first of all, that would cripple Madhouse USA, Kerry Harrison. You know, he'd lose half his players. And secondly, it would really damage the game. I mean, there's a lot of these guys now. There's 50 or 60 players controlling hundreds and hundreds of characters. And they're a significant part of the game. You know, they interact with all the guilds, they do adventuring, they do role play. You can't lose a glut of players like that. It would just destroy us. It would really harm the game. So I don't, and I wouldn't want to anyway, because it's not their fault, is it? So we're going to try and carry on being reasonable, but my aim is to return turns to normal as soon as possible. And I've got a feeling like we're not that far away. I mean, Wayne Gilroy said to me, what did he say? He said US Postal should be better by August. So, that sounds about right, doesn't it? I would imagine that we may have 3 more turns where we can have to extend the deadline a bit if we're trying to be fair to everyone. And I'll try and make it a bit less than we have been. And then maybe we can start thinking about getting back to normal then, and we'll be able to look at this whole sorry situation in the rear view mirror. That'd be good, wouldn't it? That's good for all of us. Okay, had some good news this week. I got 2 separate. One guy from America emailed me and said he's got a bunch of players, some of whom used to play Dungeonworld and some of whom were interested in Dungeonworld, who would like to join the game. And they're all, I think, going to sign up this turn. And then another gentleman approached me from the UK and said he used to play and wants to come back into the game, and I've sent him all the information he needs. And then a whole bunch of, about another 4 or 5 sign-ups came in as well, just from people I don't know. Most of which are commercial positions. It's unusual. Normally people start with the free positions and move on, but this wasn't the case this time. So that's quite interesting, that to have a bunch. I don't normally get that many in one turn these days. Used to be quite common, but isn't anymore. So I was quite excited about that, and I think that's a good sign for the game. And then what else did we talk about? Some people said it's been. Some people have got a lot of money. I mean, obviously, it's a nice problem to have. Some first world problems, as it were, in Dungeonworld. But some people have got loads and loads of gold because they've been playing a long time, or they know how to play, or they've cracked some secret, and they've built up a lot of gold, and they've got nothing to spend it on. They said nothing is expensive enough for them, and they've just got mountains of it. And so I said, well, I might try and think about some interesting, unique things that won't be particularly powerful, but just be fun, that cost a lot of money, that might use up some of that. And I also, somebody said, what about estates getting bigger? Now, when I started estates, I did plan that they could grow. The problem with estates growing is they do destroy the map, and some of the map don't want to be destroyed because it's got things in it, quite a lot of the map actually. And if I lose control of the map, it happened once before with the monster positions when they sneaked into real dungeons and began blasting through my hard prepared rooms and corridors and destroy. And it makes a mess of things like the room descriptions and how the items scatter and where the monsters generate, and a lot of things get messed up. And I don't want to give that sort of power again. I am going to do it though. I'm going to let players expand their estate, but the cost is going to be enormous, and it's going to be increasingly enormous, I think, is my plan. So it's nobody is really realistically going to be able to just kind of move up and spread over the map like a game of Risk. It'll be a huge undertaking just to add 1 square of land to your estate, but it will make people gradually be able to creep the estate, change the estate shape a little bit, and I'll make sure that they can't do it over a road or do it over something significant that they shouldn't be able to take. So I think I'm going to do that, and that gives them an interesting thing to do and something to work towards, which I think is fun. Okay, the last thing I wanted to talk about was the summer special offers. So there is no Minicon. I'm sorry, guys. If I could do it, I would do it. I'm gutted that we're not doing it. We have such a good time.
Here's what I found on the web.
Hey, that was Google. I didn't even say hey Google, but apparently my phone thought I did. And it just started talking to me, ghost in the machine. So I'm sorry we can't do the Minicon. I'd love to do it. We have a good time. It's a lot of hard work, but I was really pleased to do it. And we've done it almost every year. I think we missed 1 year for 20 years, and I'm gutted that we can't do it. And I really hoped that we'd be able to, but it might be that I could put it on, but I don't think enough people would come. Because we don't have massive numbers any year, because it's a big old undertaking to go away for a weekend to the middle of nowhere and play board games. We get people and we have a great time, but it's never rammed. Not it was very, very early days, but not anymore. And a lot of those people, a lot of our stalwarts, if you like, they won't come because some of them have got underlying health conditions or just nervous, and they've said to me, "Love to, but I don't dare at the moment, just in case." I mean, not that everyone's terrified they're going to catch COVID, but you just don't know, and that makes sense to me. So I think we've got no choice but to say no to it. So I'm still going to do the special offers though, like I always do in the summer, and I've put them on the discussion forum and on the Facebook page today. Now I did ask players what they would like as free gifts, so that I could try and make popular. I mean, it's in my interest to get people to give me money, because that's how I'm not ashamed of it. That's how I pay the bills. That's how I run the company. And very few people send me normal turn credit now. Most people wait for the special offers, and that's when they charge up their accounts. Makes sense to me. Why not? So I've done the special offers, and you can see them all there. But I've tried to address some of the things people said. So I'm get a little bit grumpy when people say, why are the offers only available to people who spend a lot of money? That's not really fair, I don't think, because I've offered some pretty cool things in the kind of regular gifts, and some of those gifts have been very affordable many times. And on top of that, I've helped a lot of people who've never taken a special offer in increasingly unique ways over the years. I don't think, to suggest that we're in any way ungenerous, I don't think is fair. But nevertheless, I did want to address the idea that if you were skint, you could never hope to get the best things. And the way that I addressed that was to introduce a summer lottery. So anybody who takes any special offer gets entered into the summer lottery. And if they get entered into the summer lottery, they only get entered into it once, no matter how many offers they take. And you get entered into it even if you take the littlest offer, which is the tip bucket, which costs £2. Now that's less than the cost of the turn, so anyone should be able to afford £2. And the £2 gets you 3 base turns, which is worth significantly more than £2, and also gets entered into the summer lottery, even though that's all you bought. So nobody can say they haven't got a chance of getting the best stuff. Now, if you get drawn, I'm going to draw it on the last day of July, at the end of the offer, and if you get drawn out, you will get all the gifts as if you'd taken the Nova offer, which is 5 free gifts and 2 mega gifts. That's a lot of stuff. Now, if you're lucky enough to have taken the Nova offer and win the draw, then you're going to get double. You're going to get 10 free gifts and 4 mega gifts for your Nova offer. and all of the people who just took the little tip bucket offer are going to be cursing you and saying, hang on, we hope that this would give this would let us have a chance. Well, you have got a chance. It's going to be drawn, but it's going to be drawn fair, and who comes out is the one who comes out. That's how it works. It's a raffle, and it's a raffle for stuff that doesn't exist, imaginary stuff. So I don't think you can't moan too much about it, can you? Now, what else is there? So in the offers, the free gifts were, some of these we've used on previous offers, some of them are new. So throwable lightning bolt is new. Ring of sunny warmth, these are the standard gifts. That's old. Bring the sunshine scroll is old. Not many people took it, so I've put it back in again. It's quite a good little scroll. Sunny disposition skill is new. Axe of Sunfire is an old item. Good one, I think, for a free gift. Sub-character Pet Clockwork Robot. So it's a cute little robot that's about as big as a house cat. That kind of it goes biddly biddly biddly. It doesn't really, but it kind of wanders around. I'm showing my age, I know. And I think it's a fun thing. Some people will like that, some people won't. Plague Warden skill. I brought that back because somebody asked me to. Said it was a useful skill, so I popped it back in again. But it's been done before. Pet mini unicorn that can shoot glitter from orifices. So I think this was Sam Hoy's suggestion. She wanted a unicorn that could shoot glitter, fart glitter. And I thought, well, we'll let it kind of poof explode, and the glitter comes from all the holes. So if you fancy a unicorn that does that, I don't know what it does. I've not made it yet. I'll be honest with you. I've made some of these things, but this one I haven't. I'm going to have a go at it at the weekend. I don't know what it's going to do, but it'll be funny. I can tell you that. And then Summer Dragon PC. And for the mega gifts, again, some of these things were suggested by players. Add a special terrain type of your design to an estate with the GM's approval. So a lot of people have said they'd like something unique on their estate that no one else has got, that they've thought of, and would really sort of add to the way they see their estate and what they're trying to make it be. It's not going to be able to do tons of things because I can't put hundreds of hours code into it, but it can do a few things and add to the flavour and be, I think, broadly what you like. So there you go. There's a great mega gift. Any knowledge tomb that exists in the game, that was something players asked for. They're very rare knowledge tombs. Some of them very hard to find, so you'll get one of them. Design and get one new seed skill. So players asked this. So seed skills was something I introduced a few years ago, letting you teach other people skills, and if you don't teach them, no one knows it, and so you can kind of control the spread of the new skill. So designing and creating one new one, again, it will be within reason. It can't be too powerful. I will limit what it does, but I'll try to work with you to get your idea to come true within the scope of the game. And then the fourth last mega gift item is any non-unique skill from the game for one character of your choice. We've done this a number of times. Everyone always likes it because it lets you take a skill that character couldn't otherwise have. And there are, if it's completely stupid and just doesn't make sense, I might disallow it. But I haven't really disallowed any in the past, as long as it exists and it makes sense. And if it's just you trying to get the Maphodus Pax skill on your character, I mean, you can do it, but it's a bit naff. Come on, be imaginative. Don't just do the obvious thing. So I think that's pretty much everything, and I've said it's absolutely fine if you want to gift. If you've got a player who's done a lot for you, or is your friend, or has been in the game a long time, and you get along well with them, and you think you'd like to gift them something, well, you can do that instead of you having the gift. Absolutely fine. You tell me where the gift goes, and the gift goes there. So I think that's pretty much everything. I want to do some more chat rooms, but I can't do one this weekend because I haven't had normally I run a Pathfinder game for weekends for my little group of Pathfinder players. We haven't been able to play since COVID began, and they're all moaning. My Pathfinder players saying, "Come on, we need to at least do something." So this Sunday, I think I'm going to run a Pathfinder game for them on Zoom. So that was when I normally do my chat rooms. Sunday's my favourite day. We won't be doing that this week, but I will, before the end of the weekend, publish 2 more chat room dates for you guys on the Facebook group and on Yahoo groups, so that you'll know when they're going to be, and I'll let you know what the themes are going to be too. Some people are still waiting on Demon Rift and Midgard. Both of those are very close now, and I will do what I can. Until then, I guess it's just a time for me to say, everybody be safe. Hope you're having as fun a time as you can during your individual lockdowns, and I think it's all going to be over not too distant future. Anyway, be well, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.